Well, hello, everybody. We're not between the pipes, but it's not here. I'm trying to change it to ours. It's not letting us change it, but who cares? We're here.
Hey, well, if you can find the button, push that again. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get us a video. Don't you worry. I'm going to
You don't
get
want
us a
to be-
video going here at some point, but not yet. So, my daughter helped make the thumbnail for this. We went Mr. Beast style. So, you and I were coming into the 21st century. It is Hot Mike with Hastings and Lindahl. And, all right, Scotty, there's a lot to talk about, but we got to start with the Nuggets game. I asked you.
Hey, which one?
Well, so how about we do this? And I hate to ask you because you were always positive about it anyway. I did talk to you after the Nuggets lost to beat the Lakers just barely Friday night. We didn't chat after Washington till this morning because you had to travel and all that, and 900 things going on in my place, in my world, and all that kind of stuff. But so what we saw last night with the Nuggets beating Golden State shorthanded, does that give a little insight? Does it prove to you that when you get a lineup you're not expecting right before tip-off, it could throw a team off? Does that explain some of what happened against the Lakers? Give me your thoughts on the last three games because it's been a wild ride.
Okay, let's go back further than that. Let's do that whole last week. I'll just sum it up this way. 5 games in 7 days, and you're in the last 20 games of the season. That seems a little ridiculous, even by the league standards. Whoever's run the league and the scheduling for the league, and I know they tried to squeeze that tournament in the middle of the year, and so it screwed a bunch of all the schedules up a little bit. You just don't do that. The playoffs, you get things ready, you stack them, every other day, whatever you want to do, but you give teams time to get ready. And listen, Denver's going to play Golden State twice. You want that. Denver's going to play the Lakers twice. You want that. Oklahoma City, you played twice. Houston, you're going to have twice, including the last game of the year. You want those matchups. You don't want those in 5 games and 7 nights and 2 time zones and travel here and here. I mean, they're going to play on this trip, but it's every other day, which is nice. But we're going to leave Portland on Friday, or play Portland on Friday. We're going to leave Saturday at like 11 in the morning. We land in Houston after 6 o'clock and then play the next day. And it's – the league is nonsensical, and yet they want to complain about, tired and guys resting and all that stuff. They haven't helped out. They've talked out of both sides of their mouth. We care about the product to the fans, and then they turn around the other side and say, obviously we don't because here's your schedule. Okay, so 5 games and 7 nights. That first game in Oklahoma City, again, kind of a weird travel thing, what you had to do, boom, boom, boom. It turned out it was on the change the clock forward, day, daylight savings day, and also you lose an hour for travel. So we get up and catch a bus that day, which on a 24 hours earlier would have been at 8:30 in the morning for our time. Well, it's 10:30 theirs, so that's all screwed up. Played that game, gave it away, didn't really get into it. The second game, played it back-to-back, was as mostly of charged a game as I've been around. And to me, that was as close to what you hope this Nugget team can be. And I think, and Andy, you and I talked, in that second game against Oklahoma City, that team, let's go. Let's just see what we can do in the playoffs with that team, right? And then for some reason came back home. In the next 3 games, there was no urgency. There was no, giddy up and let's go, And I know I'm an old dude and get off my lawn and all that stuff. That just absolutely shocked me because I didn't think they were all in on that game against Minnesota. Okay, I didn't really think. And again, then you played the Lakers and everybody's hurt, which you just talked about Golden State last night looking at the Denver Nuggets. It's a crazy week. I think you saw the best of Denver in that Oklahoma City. You saw maybe the worst of Denver in the Washington game, and then you saw. Here's how I'll describe this. And we talked earlier. Isn't it funny when guys are paying attention to their defensive assignments and putting a little extra effort in? The game got ugly, but so did the Washington game. The Washington game got kind of stupid and ugly. When you're outmatched, that's how you win games against better teams. You make the games a little ugly. So it was pretty exciting. Neat to see some kids get a chance. You got morons like Tim Botemp that are supposed to be your NBA insiders on the 4-letter network, and they pay them money to do that, and they're clueless about what the league is and what's going on. If they get their asses out of Boston or LA, they might know something more about the league.
Well, he was upset because he wanted to watch Golden State get a true test against Jokic and Murray, and seems somehow doesn't know that. He even admitted in his statement that I saw Jokic in Boston, and yeah, he was banged up, and Murray rolled his ankle for everybody to see Saturday night. By the way, none of them were complaining when the Lakers set out their lineup Friday night, which was also a national TV game.
They failed to mention that. But the only time I've seen Tim this year has either been in L.A. or, in fact, I bet he'll be here unless he's a coward. If he's a coward, he won't be in L.A. tomorrow. But the only time I've seen him has either been L.A. or in Boston. That's the only place I remember seeing him. Once you come down to some of these other places,
because we know it's ESPN. What I think is funny is ESPN's the one that leads the charge for Nikola Jokic not to be MVP. Then you're upset when he's not playing. So I mean, what is it? You know what I mean?
But again, why do you make charges like that and go nuts like you do when you're working with ESPN? To put a little fork in Nikola Jokic's MVP thing to make sure it's done, right? That was, to me, I looked at it and go, A, he doesn't know anything, and B, he's sucking up to his bosses because everybody wants SGA to win it, and that's great. I have no problem with that. But this way he goes, that's a disgrace. Dude, you saw him play an entire game after spraining his ankle on the first play. If you paid attention to Murray in that Washington game with about 6 minutes to go, Malone even talked about his presser, rolled his ankle. We showed the replay. He rolled his ankle, and he somehow fought back and tried to play and couldn't move. Probably was his rotation in that corner three. He ain't moving. He can't move. So, and then, he didn't play? I thought after that game, there was no way in heck that we're going to have Murray in Golden State. So, I didn't know Joker, but I will say this. I did see him in the hotel either after the game, might have been after the game or this morning, one of the two. It was after the game last night, and he had his elbow all wrapped up in the hotel after the game.
Oh, dude. Again, it was a nationally televised game when he went down on his elbow. That was a ESPN Friday night against the Suns. Remember that? That was when our old guy hurt him.
He did it again in that first game against Oklahoma City too.
Right. So there you go. I'm just saying
that was an ABC game. So
yeah, that was even bigger than ESPN. So they should know that there's no funny business going on. The guy's legit hurt.
And on somebody on Twitter had a stat. It was a great stat. Of the 40 people that have been all-stars in the last, I don't know if he said 6 to 10 years, whatever the time frame was, there's only been 2 guys play percentage-wise more games than him. Tatum and one other guy is the only other guy that's played more games than Nikola Jokic. And he comes out of and the bad thing is you don't have any pushback from anybody else on that set because ESPN, like they did the year that Joel Embiid won it, they've got an agenda. They're going to set their agenda, and it's like a presidential election all over. If you're on this side, they're going to sell you this way. If you're on this side, they're going to sell you this way. So, idiotic for a guy who's supposed to be a basketball guy. Pretty stupid ass statement, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was, but we shouldn't be shocked. It is what it is. So who is your favorite player from last night that didn't expect to get a lot of minutes?
Spencer Jones. One, because I didn't even, I knew they were outmanned, and was like, well, let Zeke will get more minutes. Hunter Tyson, who started, he'll get more minutes. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Peyton Watson may have to play more. And all those guys did something very positive. But dang, all of a sudden Spencer Jones came in. I remember I was up, and they got us up in a little bird cage. He hit Marlowe, and I said, pointing down at Spencer Jones. Dude, I thought Spencer Jones was fantastic. They went to Stanford, which is just down the road, right?
Yeah.
And dude, first of all, he's a big, strong cat. I don't know if you want to wrestle him in the hallway, in the alley. Sometime when it's dark. I mean, that's a big, strong man. Little undersized for a center for the NBA. Maybe a little slow for a small forward. But let me just, and you and I have talked about this when we talked about the Broncos. We've talked about this when we talked about the Avs. It's funny how hard work shrinks the gap of talent in whatever sport you play. When I played, and I've told people this all the time, and I always tended to play well against bigger name guys, Moses, Patrick, Kareem, Bird. But my philosophy was they're better than me, but there's no way they're going to run harder. They're not going to play hard. I'm not going to take a break on the glass on either end. I'm going to make them have to work on one end. My thought was, if I got to make them chase me on the offensive glass, maybe they're a little tired when they get down and get on their offensive side. And that's what Spencer Jones did. He busted. Hey, and I'm going to tell you this. Go back and watch that game just when he was in. You know who didn't want no piece of Spencer Jones? Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Draymond Green didn't want nothing to do with that young cat. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of fun to see.
Okay, so would you keep him around? I mean, why not keep him on the roster? Like, here's my question. What did we see from last night that can continue to transfer over to the rest of this way? I realize not every guy is going to get to play, but look, man, whenever I bring up the bench, why don't you find out about some of these guys? And I've been guilty of it. You have this reaction of, well, can they play that way against NBA players? Well, guess what? There's 3 future Hall of Famers on that Golden State team, okay? There's a lot of damn good players on that Golden State team. When you guys are talking about the mitten and I mean, my point being, these guys just got great minutes against NBA players, not the scrubs, not the games out of. I mean, they did it when it mattered. There was 48 non-Nikola Jokic minutes last night. So who can I listen, Spencer Jones, I don't mind a little physical here and there. 5 minutes of physicality, maybe, why not at least have it to go to as we come down the stretch? If you're not going to play Saric, and they seem hell-bent on not playing Saric, why not have Jones around?
He didn't get in last night.
No, he didn't. Neither did DJ.
Yeah.
And frankly, Najee was a little banged up. What in Washington? He only played 11 minutes.
Well, because of other guys I thought were playing better. Here's the bad thing. Say Spencer Jones could be your Aaron Gordon light.
Sure.
Would you like to have an Aaron Gordon light?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be Deron Holmes until he got his Achilles popped.
Well,
but
it might be next year, but we can't concern ourselves.
Sure. Right now, I would take somebody with a little heft to him, and that's Jones.
The problem is because he's a two-way contract that, you play him the rest of the year and he's playing good and he's making plays and, he's your big surprise guy on the team and blah, blah, blah. And once playoffs come, there's no roster spot for him.
Gotcha.
And I don't even know because they're on the – and I don't even try to pretend to understand the first apron, second apron, blah, 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 blah. I don't even try to understand that. I'm not sure that they could cut one of their guys on a regular roster, for example, and then be able to sign him up to a full deal. I don't even know if that would be feasible with all the caps and stuff like that. But, dude, listen, I'd play him. For Denver, it's about winning as many games as you can. Houston got lucky and came back from behind. It'd been nice to see them lose.
Minnesota ended up losing to a beat up Indiana team. Tyrese Halliburton didn't play. I didn't hear anybody griping about that.
Well, the cool thing is I mean, we're gonna cheer for the Nuggets. That's who I call games for. We live in the town. Blah blah blah. But it's a legit playoff run, right? I mean, it's a legit watch the standings every night and see OKC and Cleveland play, or OKC and this team plays, and I'm hoping that there's other teams that are in the position of Denver that have as many games against people that are in the position of Denver. I mean, Denver's playing Houston, playing LA, playing Golden State, playing all these teams that are trying to chase and move and finagle their ways up and down the thing. I hope other teams are getting those same opportunities too.
Well, Golden State and LA both have to play 2 extra games, and probably the Clippers fall into this too. I've been monitoring them as much because of the fires. So because of the fires, there's basically 2 games both Golden State and the Lakers have to make up, and I'd almost bet the Clippers are in that boat too. Yeah. So LA is about to play a little extra basketball now. Now, as for who's playing who, you're right. I hope it's although Denver, we said it after the All-Star break, Scotty, you had the stat. Denver's playing the toughest schedule down the stretch, and it's showing. Yep. And like you said, guys look worn out, but they got a good night's sleep. What I'm hoping, how about this before I move on? Like, what can Aaron keep from the game the other night? What can MPJ keep from the other night? What can Malone take rotational-wise from the other night to try to help them down the stretch? Maybe not play Murray and Joker so much.
Yeah, I don't know, Andy. I really don't know. Coaches tend to get locked in on what they feel most comfortable with.
But don't you feel like Michael? The funny thing about it is, I feel like Michael Malone flexed his coaching muscle last night. Like, don't you want to do a little of that? You know what I mean? Like, everybody got to flex a little bit more of their muscle because the ultimate equalizer, Nikola Jokic, went on the floor the whole time. If
you had a little bit more depth, and where you're really thin at is the guard position,
right?
And especially, I mean, Pickett came in and he had a couple of nice plays, but I mean, Peyton Jr., who's just like his dad, is just a beast on the ball, not a big guy, and a lot quicker than Jalen. I thought Jalen struggled against him. Had 2 turnovers, just picked his pocket, and went the other way. He's at a different level, so that's going to be tough. Can Jalen hold up against quicker, faster guys? I'm not sure anymore.
Well, let me ask you this too, because I love what Jalen's done, and I love the story, and I love how hard he plays. My question becomes: the size kind of showed up a little bit last night, didn't it? You know what I mean? The size, like it just. You talk about the mitten, Gary Payton Jr. there playing him, as you guys are calling him the mitten. His size was evident against Jalen.
I used to talk about Ty Law, who, when you can get out in a full court 94-foot game, he was killing cats. His speed changed the game. When the team could force him into a half-court game, now his size becomes affected in the game, because now anytime a hard hedge or double team, kind of like Jalen saw last night a couple times, that size all of a sudden sticks you. Spud Webb was a little guy, but he was quick all the time. He was quick whether he played half quarter or full, but even he ran into issues in a physical half court game because he was 5'4" and 130 pounds, and that just he made Sam Girard look big.
Well, that's saying something. All right. Well, look, man, they got the Lakers tomorrow night. By the way, both games on 92.5. The Avs are in Toronto. That thing should be wrapping up about the time you guys get going in LA. So all the action's on 92.5 tomorrow. Nobody gets bumped to 950. So that'll be good. Let's talk a little bit about those Avs. Now, it's kind of a bummer. I don't think you got to watch the Dallas game because you ended up having to travel. And I was a little bit, it bummed me out, Scotty, because the Dallas game, the Avs gave up like 3 minutes of good hockey to the Stars, but in those 3 minutes, they scored all their goals. But dude, I'm telling you that all you need to do to see why I'm excited about this Avs team, all anybody needs to do is go find the game from Sunday and watch the second period alone. The Avs physically dominated the Stars. They knocked them around. They kept the puck in their end the whole time. They were suffocating them. They wouldn't let them up. Frankly, the first 10 minutes of the third period was that way too. This bigger Avs lineup. The Stars are like the classic team to me that have bullied the Avs all throughout the playoffs in particular. And to watch the Avs give us, and I'm telling you, Ryan Lindgren, you'd have loved it. Ryan Lindgren was like stink on shit to Jamie Benn the whole time. Jamie Benn couldn't get away from that dude. And I mean, Lindgren was just bothering him, helped beat him off a little wraparound chance the other night, man. I'm just telling you, dude, it was fun to watch, and I feel like now they still got some chemistry. You know, our guy Brock Nelson, he's still kind of feeling some stuff out, although he set a great screen on one of the goals from Nichushkin where he just got in front of Ottinger's eyes. Ottinger's didn't see anything because Brock Nelson was right there. Power play still overpassing a little too much. Mark Mosier and Rycroft and John Lyles talked a little bit about that. But I'm telling you, when they get there, they're going to get settled in. I'm feeling real good about this squad, man. Real good about this squad.
I was told, I remember who sent it to me, was that, everybody thought, oh, Eric Johnson's coming. Oh, isn't that cute? EJ's back. Isn't that cute? And they're like, wait a minute. Why wasn't this guy playing before he came here? This guy can still play a little bit. How would you assess that?
So which one again?
Eric Johnson.
Here's what I would tell you, dude. Eric Johnson, look, he's not as fast as he used to be, okay? And you could see the speed out there.
Well, he's 37.
Well, he's not. Well, look, you and I knew when he got traded a couple years ago, we weren't necessarily upset because he's just he's older and he's not the same player. But what I noticed the other day, because he had to fill in for Manson. Manson was out because of an upper body injury. And so I'm telling you that what I loved about Eric Johnson, he went to the middle. He took pucks away. He was a disruptor on the passes that they've been giving up. It's honestly, man, it's just one of those things where you're like, all right, this is what's been missing in some ways, okay? He went to the middle and knocked a couple of pucks away that would have been dangerous passes. Frankly, they were the passes that they kept giving up against Georgie earlier in the year that you were just like, how is that guy open? How did anybody lose him? Don't do that. Frankly, the Nuggets could use that for the corner three. The guy that doesn't forget about the corner three in the rotation. It wasn't just Jamal the other night. They've been losing corner three guys for the last 3 or 4 games. The dude in Minnesota, who was it? The McDaniel was doing it in Minnesota against them, right? Yeah. They kept losing the Lakers corner three shooters. Obviously the corner three against Washington, but it's that kind of play that the Avs are giving up right in front of the net, letting a wing drive backside that forces the goalie to go pipe to pipe or else just gives up that goal mouth shot. It just was unreal, dude. And so Johnson took out a couple of those plays. It was good to see it. He still brings a physical edge. And I thought it was interesting, Scotty. I saw a video tweeted out of Johnson addressing the dressing room after, and Gabe was standing off to the side. I got to imagine part of the motivation for bringing Johnson back was we won't talk too much about it, but there's not been really that captain's voice. And Johnson ain't afraid to have the captain's voice, whether the little, the letters on his sweater or not.
Right. Which now goes to your bigger story with the interviews of Landeskog and the second, two of the 5 parts have come out on this documentary on Landy. Is this setting up for we will see Landy in that first round of the playoffs?
I think the possibility is there. Now, you and I know, and we've tried to remind everybody because people are getting big mad at Landeskog for his money not being used. His money is being used. They can't bring him off LTIR.
Go look up how the NHL does its salary cap.
Right. But so he can't come out until the playoffs. I do think it sets up that he could come out in the playoffs. Look, man, I don't have to.
Pretty good the other day in practice.
He did, but you know how it is. And then the question becomes, but how'd the knee feel the next day or 2 days after that? You know, because that's been. I mean, again, as he tells the story, and I can't wait to see the whole documentary. It's been and even Bednar said it the other day when asked about the Landy video. He goes, look, man, it's just kind of been take 2 steps forward and then a step back. Take 2 steps forward, take a step back. So we just got to make sure he didn't take a step back. Now, look, the way he was skating the other day, that looks like a guy to me that's getting his conditioning back because he knows what playoff hockey is going to feel like. And, you know, listen, at this point, he's probably a third line guy. I don't know if would you put him on a fourth line? I don't know about that. That feels a little deep in the rotation, but dude, they're a 3-line deep team right now. Well, Charlie Coyle looks really good. Logan O'Connor's look good.
If he became the fourth line for the playoffs, would you not have four good lines now?
Yeah, you would. I guess to me, it's just a matter of whatever the pride thing is. Oh, but
I think he wants to win a cup.
No, I would agree with you. Look, I just think he wants to play again. I know how the guy. If you have something taken away from you, he said it. I just want to be out there one more time. You know, I'm sure he does. He went from, and he admitted in that first episode or whatever, and he's admitted with Kyle Keefe, I've had to readjust what success for this thing's going to be, right?
Well, that sounds like a guy who'll play fourth line if you ask him.
No, I'm sure he would. And look, man, if you can get a playoff run out of him, great. Now, you know, the things become a little bit tricky. Like, even if he retires, he'll just go on LTIR. I don't know. I can't. The cup thing is the cap thing in the NHL is so weird, so wild.
But for people who don't know, it adjusts every game.
It does.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you've got $8 million against the cap, but you're not playing that game, you got $8 million, you can go spend somewhere else. So
right. They've had to adjust, but see, it gets tricky when you got a guy injured. That's why sometimes they bring up the young guys to play to fill out the cap economics if they've got all their major money guys in. So, yeah, the NHL cap's wild, man. I really wish they do something about giving teams a little, like, again, if you draft a guy, it kind of goes back to the Mikko thing, even though I've kind of moved on from the Mikko thing. I'm glad he didn't face a ton of boos. Duchesne got booed more than he did, frankly. There were still some that were booing him, but yeah, man, I don't know. It's well, it is what it is, brother.
How did Mikko look in a Stars jersey?
Well, he assisted the first goal. It looked weird. Look, they played the video. You could tell he wasn't right. It almost was like emotional sabotage to him, frankly, telling him goodbye. He had kind of had his head down and he looked up and gave the crowd a big tap on the heart. And look, he did an interview. He was doing interviews the day before telling the whole town, I did not want to leave here. I did not think I'd be leaving here. I thought we were going to work something out. They had my back for 10 years. I appreciate them all having my back for 10 years. And then,
but let me ask you, are they not better after the trade?
Say again?
Are they not better after the trade?
Yeah, that's why I'm not mad at him. I was telling everybody Friday, don't boo the guy, because you wouldn't have been able to you wouldn't have Netchus, you wouldn't have Drury, and Drury's running a bunch of key face-offs right now. You probably don't get Nelson. You probably could have made the Coyle for Middlestat trade, which was, there was rumored to be trade middle. They had the same salary, so probably that trade gets done. I don't know if you get Lindgren. Lindgren looks like he's going to – Lindgren to me, Scotty, Lindgren's this year's Manson. Remember how Manson was when he came in Cup year? That's Lindgren. He's bringing that energy, that grit, that I don't like playing this guy kind of to the table. So yeah, I think you're a better team because of it. You certainly probably don't have Eric Johnson, although I don't think he's costing you too much. So
now we get to, I just talked about the NBA. I think it's dumb for the schedules and how they do it. And they don't pay attention to travels and time zones and stuff like that. And I know they got to get their $2 billion baby in with that cup they have. I got you. But the NHL's postseason, there ain't no way you want Dallas and Colorado playing in the first round. That's stupid. Just for what's good for hockey. You want your best teams to have the best opportunities to meet when the games become even bigger and bigger and bigger. And those are two teams that, let's be honest, both those teams can play for the Western Conference. I mean, both those teams, I think, right now are good enough to do that. Why do you want them playing in the first round? That's stupid.
I'm with you. They got to change the seating back up, dude. It's because I kept looking at it like the Kings are in a better position. All of that Pacific Division is better off than where the Avs sit. And I'm with you. Why would you not want, just go back to the old ways? You didn't need to change it. I don't understand why you changed it to begin with. What is this helping?
You know what is probably helping? It was probably some way they thought if we do this, maybe we can get a couple more Canadian teams in the postseason.
You might be right. You might be right about that. I don't know. But here's what I know. You're going to end up with a bunch of matchups that we've already watched, right? Instead of, like, again, it's going to be probably Stars and Avs, in first round. Now what the Avs are trying to do, because nobody's catching, I don't think anybody's going to catch Winnipeg. So the Avs are trying to get home, and they're 2 points off. I didn't see what the Stars have done tonight. They're 2 points off of getting home ice from the Stars, which I think would be big. I think you want home ice on the Stars. But I'm with you, dude. I don't know. I've been wondering this for the last week. I don't know why we went to this. I don't know what it's helping. You're probably right about the Canadian teams getting in, but it's not going to work out this year. Vancouver, I think, is battling for it. Calgary had it for a minute, but Calgary slept off a little bit. I don't know, Scotty. Look, if you want a tougher path to the cup, then you can reseed, I guess, when this is done or whatever, or just create a bracket and keep doing the bracket. But so Sean's saying Stars won tonight versus the Ducks. Yeah, bro, I don't know, man. I really don't. It's
I mean, if the Stars and the Avs play, they should never play before the second round.
Yeah, because like you said, in an ideal situation, it's like the NBA where if the top 4 teams advance, you're going to have them you got 2 versus 3 in the semifinals, and then you got 1 versus 2 or 1 versus 4 in the semifinals, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the way we said, I still am kind of screwy. Like if the Avs win, I believe they got to take on Winnipeg if Winnipeg wins, and then you move on. I don't know, man. I don't know why they changed it years ago. They chose to change it, so it is what it is. There's just nothing you can do about it. But the NHL likes it this way, so I guess that's what you got to do. I don't know how it's helping things or what. But
I believe the ownership and front office of Dallas or the Winnipeg Jets or the Avalanche, any good teams, heck, Florida, Tampa, Toronto, I can't believe they – so you're going to say in the first round, the second best team in the East or second best team in the West is going to play the third best team in the West. That's stupid. I can't believe hockey teams are okay with this.
I don't think they were given a choice. I think
last
that's
– last time I looked, the commissioner works for the owners and all them other teams.
Well, but you know what they all work for, Scotty? They all work for TV. And I'm sure there's a TV reason under this for somehow, some way. Okay? Seriously. I wish there was there's some TV reason for this. I promise you.
I think the only reason it is because you went a handful of years without a Canadian team even in the postseason.
Yeah, but this hasn't helped them. You know what I mean? Like, good players is what's going to help them. So, what keeps ending? You've done this, and guess what keeps happening?
Or if Toronto could ever hold a 3-1 lead, that might help them also.
Well, and on top of it, you know what else is going on? You got Tampa and Florida in back-to-back cups. Tampa Bay was representing the East forever, and then Florida goes and does it. How's that helping anything?
Florida. Your NHL champion, the home of NHL champions is Florida, USA, right there on the Gulf of America.
Yeah. I had a few friends, they didn't even really do a proper cup celebration because, again, do you think they grow up playing a lot of hockey down there? So, All right, let's talk a little Broncos. Mel Kiper comes out. We got the draft going on, of course. You got the
Free agency.
They got the free agency. We wrapped up free agency last week. You and I both liked what they did. I'm excited to see all that get going. They've got the an Arizona receiver, and I can't quite say his name. There's an Arizona receiver in Mel Kiper's latest mock draft for the Broncos now. I know when I went and looked at the draft, both those tight ends are going to be gone. Would you be okay with them drafting a tight end? Did we talk about this last week? I can't even remember. Are you okay with them drafting a tight end even though they got Ingram?
Well, yeah, I think you still need another one somewhere. I think you got to draft one in the top 3-4 rounds anyway. Where did Kuiper have the Carolina running back going? That's the guy that intrigues me the most.
So I didn't keep my eye out for him. But Daniel Jeremiah, Omarion, I can't remember his last name. Omarion is his first name.
I think it's Hampton.
Yeah, Omarion Hampton. Daniel Jeremiah has got him going to the Broncos at 20. There's a lot of mocksters still saying he's going to the Broncos at 20.
I would be real excited if they draft that kid. I watched a little film on him. I really like him. I think you could use him as a receiving back. I think he's a good running back. I like the kid a lot. I also saw one mock had what's the running back out of Iowa that they kind of like too. I don't know if 20 is too high or not.
Well, so Leahy's been telling us if you want to get one, you're going to be able to get one in the later rounds too. So that'll factor in, right? Listen, if they were to get another middle linebacker, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I still like that Emawari, the safety out of South Carolina. The guy's an athletic freak. He profiles like Ed Reed. If you wanted to draft him, I wouldn't care.
I wouldn't.
Because guess what? If he can cover tight ends and backs, well, that's a weapon. That allows you to go into your nickel coverage. That allows you to, because everybody, all these offenses are trying to get smaller defensive personnel on the field, and they're running the ball at them.
Well, it also allows your all-world cornerback to stay on wide receivers and not on certain situations fly over to Travis Kelce.
Right. Boy, it's interesting Travis is coming back. I thought Travis might hang it up. He looked a little – I felt like he didn't look himself all as – and again, I had him on my fantasy team, so I paid attention to him a little more than probably others did. He just didn't look himself all year.
I thought he looked like a guy that spent his summer in Frankfurt, and London, and Paris, and Australia, and was on the banquet tour with his girlfriend. Living a pretty luxurious life. I don't know how many squat racks are in the Four Seasons Hotel in Paris. I don't know.
Yeah. Good call. And look, man, you win as many Super Bowls as he does. I don't know. I don't think for the real true competitors and guys of your era, I don't think winning ever gets old. I really don't. And I think it's something that makes Mahomes special, but
he and his brothers got paid for that podcast.
Yeah.
He can still do the podcast and obviously still getting paid for that. And, where else are you going to make 8, 10, $11 million?
Nowhere. Nowhere in the real world, but he's not going to need to. If he gets married to Taylor Swift, they're not going to worry about money ever again. So she made $1 billion, I believe, on the U.S. tour alone, and then another $1 billion traveling Europe. So they're good. Billion.
Hey, but that ain't his money.
No, you're right. I'm sure there's a prenup. Involved if they get married. I'm positive about that. So, all right. Well, what's your prediction for the rest of the road trip?
Well, you want to go 500, but now you've kind of played yourself in the situation that you probably need to win 3 of 5 or 3 of 4. And don't forget, after this 4-game, 7-day road trip, you come home and play back-to-back with Chicago, who, like Washington's already beat you once this year. So I think in these next 4, you want to win. If you can win 2, you're okay. 3 would be better. I don't think Portland's going to be easy. They've struggled the last 2 or 3 years playing in Houston. That team, is super athletic on the wing. That's tough, and they're well coached. Udoka's a great coach. Great coach. I don't mean a good coach. I mean a great coach.
Well, I was talking to Nate about it. I was hoping 2-2 minimum. Wouldn't mind a 3-1 because Portland's in there. Nate kind of talked me into being a little worried about 1-3, but we both didn't think they'd get the one last night. Honestly, even before we knew Joker wasn't going to be out, I was worried about that game just because things felt so bad after where they were at in Washington and some of the honesty out of Joker at the podium. But now that let's be honest, you stole a game right there.
Yep.
You know, LeBron ain't playing tomorrow night. I would love to see the Nuggets, obviously, full go and send a little message back. Do you think they show the pick and roll? Here's my question. Are they going to show the coaching adjustment to the Lakers, or do you think Malone keeps that in his back pocket?
I don't think they can afford to keep anything in their back pocket.
Because of how tight the standings are?
Yeah, I don't think you can keep anything in your back pocket.
So do you think we'll see more Jamal and Joker pick and roll than what we saw when the Lakers first handled? By the way, Can I also say, if the NBA really is, and it was Tim Bontemps that was upset, not the NBA, but if the NBA was really, really upset about Joker not playing, how about you call some fouls and don't let three guys just hammer him like he's out? I mean, big guys get their ass kicked every night. Nobody does anything about it. I've been saying I'd like to watch Denver put someone out there to set some hard picks for the Joker to run some dudes. Let the Minnesota guys feel you the way that he's had to feel them a little bit. If nothing else, just to send the message or put it in their head. This is a little bit going back to your day. But seriously, if you want Joker playing, then don't let him beat the crap out of him for 48 minutes and call 2 fouls? The guy gets minimal foul shots a night. You don't ever do anything about it, but now you're upset he's too beat up to play? That's rich.
Hey, if I learned anything in Golden State, I'm going to try to put Spencer Jones out in game 6-7 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Frankly, I wouldn't mind Naz Reid running into Spencer Jones on a pick. Frankly, let Naz Reid feel that. Let Julius Randle run into that guy a couple of times. Let's see how that feels. Let's see how that changes some of the feistiness. Because, to me, and I worry about Minnesota because I just wonder if that's ultimately going to be the matchup with them at 6. You gotta show them some physical back, don't you?
Yep. No, I think so. I mean, that would be one of the things I think Denver struggled with this year, even last year, is physical teams. I think that bothers them. I thought that's why they lost to Minnesota. Minnesota was more physical, took Michael Porter completely out of the game, made it super, super, super tough on Jamal Murray, and no one else stepped up. Joker.
You're going to have an answer for it because that may be your playoff matchup, man. And I know we're going to hear about how, this is I get it. That I understand the T-Wolves were built to beat the Nuggets. I get that. But sooner or later, you got to have a counter, don't you?
Well.
Is their personnel that much better than what the Nuggets got?
Team that has 2 ace right-handers in baseball and you have no left-handed bats. You want to give them a counter, but until you get somebody in there with a left-handed bat, it ain't going to matter, is it?
Well, you should have picked up some left-handed bats. But that's where the aprons come in. So, again, I want to be a little fair to Calvin Booth, too. We don't know what Deron Holmes would have added to this team. Yeah, Deron Holmes might have added some stuff to this team.
Yep.
So, and we don't get it, like you said. I can't remember. I think you said it to me on the phone. We can't worry about that. It is what it is. So,
and just before we go bye-bye, has anybody at all talked about spring training in the Rockies? Do you remember how big spring training used to be and how excited everybody gets? And now I'm reading an article that Colorado had never lost 100 games, and now they've lost 2 in a row, and some think that they could go for a three-peat.
Yeah.
I mean, has baseball just gone away in Colorado now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the ESPN deal. ESPN basically told them, go play your games somewhere else. It's not just Colorado. It's everywhere. It's just not what it used to be. They're trying to speed up games and attract a younger audience, but the reality is the younger audience is doing other stuff.
The problem is the younger audience ain't watching anything anyway, and everybody's kowtowing to them. And they found out we could have an hour-long program of cornhole and appease the young people that like to play that. I'm waiting for them to have a tournament, a beer pong tournament. When is the professional beer pong league?
All right, you want to know what was on there the other day? That digital golf tour.
I watched that today lifting weights.
What's that?
I watched that today lifting
Well, I mean, but again, that's on there. That's on there, and baseball is going to go away. And meanwhile, we got guys basically going to what is a golf simulator, which you could go find Colorado Have a Golfer or Pins and Aces or whatever it is, wherever your favorite digital playground is at a Dick's Sporting Goods, and then they go and they put on a practice putting green. I'm not saying it's completely flawed, but that's what we're doing. So, By the way, Tom hates me, which is cool. I'm glad you showed up, Tom. But Austin has been picking up the fight. So Tom doesn't think I know anything about basketball, which, again, the guy that teaches me a lot about basketball is on here. This is what started it. So there you go, Tom. See, Tom will at least let you feel heard. He just thinks I'm too loud. I only know football. Tom, I know lacrosse. No hockey. What's funny is how the indoor lacrosse is just like the basketball. So our buddy Jeb Putzier used to pick up a lot. Did you know that Jeb Putzier I had talked Jeb Putzier into trying out for the Mammoth, and I guess because of the head concerns, I didn't go through with it. But Jeb at Boise State played basketball with a couple of the brothers that played. They were a set of brothers. I can't remember their last names, but they played in the NLL. Really? And they were big dudes that played scholarship basketball at Boise State. So I told Jeb, I go, you completely understand it. You ought to go do it. And Gov had thought about it for a minute because I taught Jeb how to do some of the basic lacrosse stuff. Jeb would have been a beast out there. But anyway, here's a quick question. We are a fast team, and Murray has been slowing us down for a long time. What do you think about that? Has Murray – how do you think – it's been a weird year for Murray. Is that fair to say?
Probably. Yeah, I would say. The when you know Murray is on, he's going north and south. It's kind of like good running backs. He's going north and south, not east and west. When he's playing from sideline to sideline because of pressure or whatever, then he takes too long with the ball, and it takes to do it, and the thing bogs down. When he's going boom, 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 and then getting downhill to the basket, much better, more efficient, and the offense is more efficient.
All right. What they actually, I thought, played all right 3-point defense last night. They were bothersome near the 3-point arc. One perfect. Look, Golden State, let's not kid ourselves. They missed some shots. I felt like when they saw the guys they got to play, they went a little bit hero ball. You guys made comment about it being a one-on-one game at points. I think a few guys decided they go get a few highlights for themselves, and that kind of took them out of their team game. And then by the time they wanted to get back into their team game, maybe it was a little too late. But again, I'll ask you, was there something unlocked? It's not even something unlocked. It's just effort and energy on defense, right? Just wanting to get out there and wanting to bother a guy, wanting to get in his kitchen, as you like to say.
Like I said in that early in the show, hard work and energy shrinks the gap between talent and lack thereof. I mean, you got a talented guy here and another guy who's not this talented. This guy's going to just play hard, but this guy's going to play super hard. Good things going to happen when you're that close. And Spencer Jones, I thought, was an example of it last night. Dude, he's diving on the ground, knocking people over. And people don't want to mess with that.
Hey, I got to tell you, Nate pointed something out to me. So I was watching you guys, and when the Nuggets were closing out that first half and they were in the lead, I decided to just get 5 minutes of the ESPN broadcast in just to see what they were saying about it. And then I watched you guys the whole second half, right? And Nate was giving me a hard time because, he's like, didn't you love that game last night? I was like, well, I mean, I love that they won. And for 3 quarters, yeah, it was fun that are back. But, you get to the fourth quarter, I'm like, well, now let's win this damn thing. Don't be giving this game away. Poor possessions and terrible ball handling and idiotic passes drive me effing up the wall, bro.
Because you got the game, though. And
right.
It shows you if you watch effort, guys going at it and playing with a passion, you can like this stuff. Listen, I've got myself watching more soccer in the last year or so. One, my daughter's playing, so I try to pick stuff up. But dude, when the game's going back and forth, and you see, I went to DU women's college game this last fall. It was fantastic. Get good seats. I'm sitting right on it, and you're seeing how hard they're busting their butt, and they're running, and boom, bodies running in each other. When you see effort, you can watch it.
Well, but you know what Nate pointed out, because again, they were a little more mellow, obviously, on the ESPN broadcast. I was riding the emotion with you and Marlo. You and Marlo were so funny last night because they're like 2 or 3 passes. You're like, oh, and then some dumb one, like it'd be a bad pass, right? And then they'd get the ball back somehow, and you're like, all right. And Marlo would go, okay, it's okay. And then Chris did one too, where there was another bad pass, and then I think like the guy grabbed it, but then Golden State threw a bad pass, and they stole it right back. And Marlo's like, oh, hey, and you guys were riding the wave of emotion. And it caused me stress.
Dude, after the first quarter, we went, okay. And they made a little push to start the second, and then Denver pulled back away. And then the third, they really couldn't do anything. I'm like you. I'm like, we got in the fourth quarter, and I said, hey, non-Nikola minutes now. You've had them all game, but now this fourth quarter where the bench has been bad on a lot of games, right? I mean, this year, the bench that started that fourth quarter, even when Nikola played, you're just crossing your fingers that it doesn't get stupid. It got a little wonky, but I'm thinking, dude, you can win this game. I mean, same thing with the Broncos. All of a sudden, you're beating the team late, and you go, dude, you can win this game. Tampa Bay this year, you're going down there, and you go, dude, you can win this game.
All right, hold on, because you called this game too. You know what I related to with much bigger stakes to Nate? Because you remember what we were all saying in Super Bowl 32. Let us just be in it. Let's just still have a fourth quarter. Then you get to the fourth quarter, and you're like, don't be losing this, mofo. Don't be losing this now.
Hey, you brought it this far, you got a chance.
So anyway, that was what last night's game was. All right, man. We've gone a little bit longer, but again, a ton of viewers again. This is a nice comment from Matt. There you go. We enjoy having you guys with us. I appreciate Austin trying to stick up for me there. Although, listen, Austin, there's plenty of people that hate me. It's all right, but thank you. And then there it is. Matt agrees with you. Effort and want to. Move. That's defense, baby. Some new names there. You know what's wild? We didn't get any of the Twitch people we normally get, so I'm not sure. Guys, I'm not sure what comments. It's saying that some comments can't appear here. So if you've been commenting on Twitch and we didn't get it, I apologize. By the way, it's a stupid. Hey, real quick, because we can real quick on this thing, because you ain't got nothing better to do.
You had to get your 18-year-old daughter to help us get this broadcast up today. So, I mean, don't apologize.
Dude, she gave us the graphic. I'm proud. She's like, you guys better pump me. And I was like, for what? get a business card, and then we will promote you when there's a business to promote. But there's your next step.
We'll double her salary from what she got paid tonight. We'll double that for the next 5.
Yeah. Well, I told her, she got excited because she's like, oh, I got a Mr. Beast type thumbnail for you, like Mr. Beast, he rules the world. So we've got a Mr. Beast style thumbnail for YouTube. Real quickly, I guess this is the 22nd anniversary of that big March blizzard in 2003. You remember that? Because now we got a little storm tonight, but it's not as bad. What do you remember about that? Were you still a KOA? I think you were.
Yep, I was a KOA. Missed one full day. We couldn't get out of our neighborhood, and then I think I was the first car out of the neighborhood the second day, and it was like I lived in a cul-de-sac, and it was like there was like 3 different dads out there pushing me. I'd go about 5 feet. We'd have to dig a little bit. Push, go around there 6, 7 feet, dig. It was a beast just to get out of the neighborhood.
You probably don't remember, but me and Stink and Doc were doing our show on 760. Me and Doc traveled out to Arizona to call an arena football game, right? The Crush against the Rattlers. And then we were staying that week because you brought it up, spring training. And I remember the storm comes in. My wife is 5 months pregnant with our daughter. She's trying to show, oh, look, that thing worked. She's trying to shovel all that snow you're talking about. I'm like, she's going to go into labor. This is hell. I couldn't get back. Everything was booked. I was telling Nate yesterday, because I guess yesterday was the day that it hit. I was trying to, Donnie, I called Donnie and I'm like, hey, man, I don't think there's any rooms left at this resort because, we got put up at a resort, but we were supposed to leave by Thursday or something. And the resort's telling me, they're like, yeah, we ain't got no rooms for you. You got to get out of here. And so I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm still just a producer, not making jack squat at this point. And Max Brooks, remember Max Brooks? He's like, you can come stay at the house with me. Jack Corrigan didn't offer me to come stay there. Wayne Hagan or whoever. I don't even remember who the crew was. Hagan or Kingery or Corrigan and Kingery, whoever it was. I didn't get any offers from them, but Max Brooks said it could come stay in his house. And I remember Frontier finally was able to get a flight in, and I had to like hustle my ass. I was literally just killing time trying to figure out how I was going to make the budget work. Stranded 2 more days when Frontier sends me an email saying, if you get to the airport, we'll get you on a plane. And I got there and flew in. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. Then I got here. I could not believe how big the mounds of snow were, because normally this time of year, if we get a big snow, it was not like, it was unbelievable how big some of those snow mounds were.
And it snowed for like 2 straight days, though.
Yeah, you guys are all sleeping at the station because I called Donnie telling him I need this, and Donnie's like, I don't care, boy. I got people stuck at the station here, boy. You ain't even back here to help us. Your problems are not my problem. Figure it out.
He went Jethro on you.
Oh, he went full Jethro because you guys have been there. I think you were didn't you stay in the hotel down the street so you could be there?
No. I was home and like I said, missed 1 full day, and that's before you had the remote boxes. Now I could have just plugged in a box and whatever. Dude, it was. I remember we had out my back door. I mean, dogs still got to poop and pee, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
And we got our dog. We're holding fine. We let him out, and I had a deck, and off the side of the deck was a hot tub with the cover on it. Dog takes off. Well, he didn't know it. He's on the cover, so he thinks he's walking on top of the snow. All of a sudden, whoosh, disappeared. He was so now I'm trying to get out in the snow, trying to find a dog. Disappeared in the
snow. Aaron Gordon was the man last time. We'll leave you on that comment. Remind me of the year he won it all. Russell Westbrook, I hated when he played in Denver. I'm happy he's on our team. He's a warrior. Can Aaron Gordon untap a little? It'll be the final comment. Can you untap a little of that extra?
The whole key is, can he keep AG upright? And that's a big key for the rest of the season playoffs. They're a much better team with Aaron Gordon, who didn't play in the last 2 Minnesota games, didn't play in the LA loss. He is a big part of this team.
All right, my man. Enjoy your road trip. You got another little night in LA, and then off to what is Friday's game is Portland. So at least you're all, at least for the most part, your same time zone until you go to Houston.
And
so
then we'll say, hey, let's don't go 1 time zone. Let's go 2.
Yeah, why not? All right. Say goodbye.
Say bye, Bobby.
Night all.